Let's analyze the credibility and the arguments of Ben Shapiro, the great conservative sensation.
Yeah. The reason people are permanently poor in the United States is not because they don't have money, it's because they suck with money. The reason people are temporarily poor is because they don't have money. The reason they're permanently poor, okay, this is self-evident, folks, that's not even controversial. If you're poor in America your entire life, you are not great with money by definition. Okay, name me one person in America.
And so there you have it. If you're poor, it's simply your own fault. You're bad with money. It has nothing to do with the family you were born into or the neighborhood that you grew up in, the school that you attended. It's all just because you're bad with money. It's a little bit more complex than that. These factors all influence the life outcomes of individuals. I believe in personal responsibility to an extent, but Shapiro doesn't mention that there are schools in poor areas that receive less funding. This definitely affects the quality of education that students are able to receive. Let's look at what was posted on the Daily Wire, which Ben Shapiro owns. This was about his debate with him and Cenk. When the dust settled, 95% of the voters in a Twitter poll posted by Daily Wire chose Shapiro as the clear winner. This is the result of Shapiro's philosophy of debating a leftist. Alright, let's stop right here. Do you think that if the Twitter poll would have been posted by the Young Turks, 95% of people would have said that Shapiro was the winner? Fat chance. So let's go down to the last two paragraphs and read what it says. It was a bloodbath. Cenk was a stuttering mess, like Jeb during the primary debates, remarked one amused student. Another said, it looked like an animal playing with its food. You could see it in Shapiro's face. When I asked him at his book signing, you know you won that debate, right? He replied, I know, and we shared a laugh. So let's watch that actual debate that it's referring to and see if Cenk got destroyed.
Right. So, first of all, it is fair to say that, of course, the 1950s and 60s were different. We'd just come out of the war. So, but you have to consider all the different factors. So one was that factor, and the other factor that was the one I mentioned. So when Republicans and conservatives say, well, high taxes by definition will lead to slower growth, well, we know because of our experience in the 1950s and 60s that isn't true. Now, you can say there are other factors, but you can't say that the highest marginal tax rate being 70 or even 90% slows down growth, because it didn't. And it wasn't in Japan and Switzerland, it was right here.
You seem to be identifying a higher tax rate in the 1950s with higher level of growth. So if that's the case, why not just tax everybody at 100% and we can have massive growth from here to eternity?
Because
let me just ask, since we're talking about taxes, do you think we'll see tax reform in the next few months here?
Okay, so let me try to address all that in your question as well. So just real quick, look guys, I said it however many questions ago, of course you have to find the right balance on all of these issues, including taxes. So I never said there's no end to how much you can
I'm just asking
pay.
why, though.
Yeah, so this leads to, no wait a minute, this leads to big government versus small government. You're asking me what the ideal tax rate is, and then you did a straw man there for a second and said it should be 100%. I never said that.
No,
in fact, I said,
no,
when the middle class has more money, disposable income, they spend it. Why? Because they're not living in the lap of luxury. They're not saving it for their yacht. So they need to buy food for their family, they need education for their family, so they spend it and it goes back into the economy. If you just give it in supply side economics to the rich and hope that it trickles down on us eventually decades later, what they wind up doing with it is something that is logical. They save it. But that means it does not recirculate in the economy. And that is why when you have lower taxes, ironically, the economy does worse. But of course it's a balancing act.
Okay, so now you're making a strong case for Keynesian economics, which is totally fine, obviously. The problem with Keynesian economics is that it doesn't even work in theory, because again, once you go to the logical extreme, which is remove all of the money from the rich people who are saving all their money and give it to all the poor people to buy hamburgers, that doesn't help the economy or spur the economy. What spurs the economy is a higher level...
Right.
What spurs...
Oh yeah, it looks like Ben Shapiro absolutely destroyed him in that debate. Just smashed him to pieces. I mean, in reality, the debate was pretty even. They went back and forth. Each of them made some good points. But that shows that Shapiro was pretty misleading in his article. He cherry-picked the students that he interviewed and that he put in there. Do you think that if he interviewed anyone and they said that they thought Cenk won, do you think that he would put that in the article? Of course not. And so this just goes back to the point that Shapiro isn't going to be objective when he's trying to build his public image, when he's trying to build a fortune. And I mean, he does bring up good points at times, but for him to be beholden as this great intellectual, that's a little bit far-fetched. It's easy for Shapiro to seem pretty impressive as he beats college students as he goes and tours universities across the nation. But in that debate, he didn't destroy Cenk. Let's watch him debate another intellectual like Sam Harris and see how good he could do.